big game in Commonwealth Stadium as the Edmonton Eskimos hang on to win a wild one, 33-38. So Calgary and Edmonton have now won to keep the pressure on Saskatchewan in the West. They are in BC to face the Lions, and Charles Roberts making his debut as a BC Lion in the backfield at the same time with Stephen Logan. This is a move that many people have debated on whether or not it's going to work to have two premier backs. What do you guys think about it?
I don't like it personally. I just became a big Stephen Logan fan, and anything that's going to take touches away from him, I don't want to see. And plus, I don't see that makes any sense. They're the same style of running back. How are you going to play them both at the same time, or alternating them?
I like the fact that they got a backup in Charles Roberts. They have to change their offense, and so I think it's a great idea, and I don't think they incorporate too many things in the new offense, Schulte. I think they'll stay with the same, but just use them interchangeably.
Yeah, but I think Stephen Logan is one of the best backs in the entire Canadian Football League. Give him the carries. Another perspective, though, is guys take a lot of pride in other guys' success. Offensive linemen take a lot of pride in a quarterback's success. Offensive linemen love to see that magic number, 100. I don't think you're going to see 50-50. If there's a guy who's going to get 100 yards, it's Stephen Logan.
Yeah, and another aspect of this as well is that Ian Smart comes out of the lineup to make room for Charles. Yeah, I mean, this is a great return, man. But we'll see. Wally Buono's got about 200-plus more wins than I do in the CFL. So let's see what happens here. Here's the starting quarterback situation brought to you by Wendy's and the Baconator. How about Michael Bishop, 2-0 as a starter in Regina, and Buck Pierce back-to-back big games. This should be a good one. It's a great rivalry and has become that over the last few years. Let's see what happens tonight. Helen, you know your last name. I don't want to mispronounce it on national TV, so I'm just kidding. Helen in Regina, you could win a 2009 Nissan Titan if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown and Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you win $1 million. Let's take it to Vancouver. Here are Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
All right, thank you, Dave, and welcome inside BC Place. TSN, exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home of the Grey Cup. And a lot of attention on this game tonight. The rivalry renewed. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, best in the West, defending Grey Cup champions, against the hometown BC Lions. Ken Miller. What a year for him as a rookie head coach. 8-2 this season.
Two other Western teams having won, Calgary and Edmonton, already this weekend. Ken Miller wants to maintain that lead atop the division with victory number 9. Wally Buono playing catch-up a little bit. 5-5 at this point. They're looking to move above 500. Of course, Wally as well, feeling the need to keep pace.
And Blink is in BC. Charles Roberts, with his old number 1, makes his debut as a BC Lion. He's back with Stephen Logan. Jamie Borum kicks it off. Logan has it. The twin Mighty Mites back there. We'll see a lot of them. What a block by Roberts. Springs Logan. And here comes Buck Pierce and the BC Lions. Our starting lineups tonight brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn.
A new look backfield for the BC Lions. Buck Pierce has established himself as the starting quarterback. Stephen Logan at tailback. May see a little bit of Charles Roberts alongside him in certain sets here tonight. Of course, that great receiving core led by G. Roy Simon, who comes in tonight ranked number 4 in the league in yardage. The offensive line, these guys have picked it up after being criticized in the early going. They haven't allowed a sack in their last 2 games. They look to keep that streak going.
Let's go to the other side of the ball now. An injury on the field. There's Charles Roberts. Always looked good in blue. Now he wears the orange. 13 yards away from joining the 10,000-yard club tonight.
And here's a group of guys who are looking to keep him from joining that group. Shante Williams, Jimmy Verdon, a couple of new faces. Some big fellas at 6'6" and 6'4" respectively on that defensive line. The linebacking core has been absolutely phenomenal. Among the league's most active, led by Anton McKenzie, who's having an all-star type season since taking over from Reggie Hunt at the weak side spot. And on the back end, Lance Frazier has had a very good season, leading the league so far with 5 interceptions to date.
An auspicious start here. Brandon Lynch is on the field. for the Roughriders. The card is out on the field. Number 35. And it looks like his left leg. And this is a place that has not been kind to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Remember back on July 4th. You can see his leg buckle there. DJ Flick broke his leg here on what looked like a very innocuous pass route. Flick, gone for the season, has actually started to run again and might be back in the lineup, which would be a remarkable recovery. But the first play tonight off the kickoff, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a team that has been crushed by injury, yet despite the injuries have been able to roll off this very impressive record, and Brandon Lynch will leave the field. Harry Sokolsky is with us tonight, and we'll get an update on the sidelines.
As you said, head coach Ken Miller has got this team fighting through adversity all year. They've managed to stay above it. Hopefully seeing yet another one of their soldiers go down. Brandon Lynch, and what looks like a fairly serious lower leg injury here for a guy who'd been playing very well for them on special teams. Just another challenge for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
A team that has really rallied around its fallen players this year. So many injuries. Began with the DJ Flick leg break, and then just a number of other injuries. And it obviously has had an effect on the Riders, but not on their record. And they'll have to gut it out again here tonight without one of their key players on special teams. So Charles Roberts, again, 13 yards away from becoming the 5th player to join the 10,000-yard rushing list in CFL history. First play from scrimmage is Blink. Has 6 yards. And a lot of talk, Dwayne Ford, about having Charles Roberts and Stefan Logan virtually mirror images of each other. Both scat backs can go either side. They make people miss. Stefan Logan has a long way to join Charles Roberts up there, but it's a double threat.
Well, you see the company Charles Roberts is looking to join. He certainly provides a great role model in the backfield when you consider the career that Roberts has had. Great role model for Stefan Logan.
Buck Pierce over the middle. Looks like a first down. G-Roy Simon. Buck Pierce was holding the clipboard a lot this year after getting a start early. Remember, last year had the shoulder separation. Has thrown for 770 yards and about 79% over his last 2 starts.
Yeah, Buck Pierce, since getting an opportunity to get back in this lineup, has been phenomenal, and it was kind of the missing link for the BC Lions in terms of what people's expectations were, was that consistent quarterback play. Buck Pierce has been very good the last 2 games. Consistency being the key. He's got to keep that going for a couple more.
Almost picked off. James Johnson. Last year was the star of the Grey Cup, remember, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he had that in his mitts. He was gone to the end zone.
Well, Buck Pierce is looking to throw that out to the wide side here. Again, even though it's only about 5 yards downfield, that's a long throw. James Johnson, with that good anticipation, makes a nice break on the ball to knock that one down.
Second down and 10 now. A lot of weapons in this Lion receiving corps. Wide open is Paris Jackson. Brand new daddy this week, who did not have a catch last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, some speculation that Paris Jackson may have had some things on his mind last week as his wife was a little bit late with the baby, but all is well in that case. All is well on this play for the BC Lions. Paris Jackson got a big cushion from the corner, Omar Morgan, so he was able to just sit. Plenty of time to make the play.
There are the numbers this season for Paris Jackson. Charles Roberts is the top of your screen, lining up as a wide receiver. Jackson and Stefan Logan both out on the field together, and Wally Buono knows this is a real luxury. It hasn't really been tried too often with 2 scat backs.
No, it hasn't. Usually you like to have a little bit of a contrast in styles. But what Wally gets by putting both those guys out there, and on the last play, went to an empty backfield and lined Logan up as a wideout on one side, Charles Roberts as a wideout on the other side, the opportunity to try and create mismatches. They can get a pre-snap read in terms of coverage. If they get linebackers walking out wide with those guys, you can probably guess where the ball is going to be going.
2nd and 10 again. And a little time count violation here. The play clock had expired. Penalty flags flying.
This is going to be one of the challenges for the BC Lions. As you can imagine, in adding Charles Roberts and working with the two backs, they've got different personnel packages and they'll be shuttling people in and out. That can take some time.
There's no infraction on the play. BC called timeout prior to the flag. Timeout, BC.
Glenn Johnson, the referee tonight, so a timeout. Wally Buono and Jacques Chapdelaine. And Charles Roberts, 1-for-1 blockbuster deal just over a week ago. Joe Smith. Roberts did not play last week. Watched from the sidelines as the Lions beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats and beat them rather handily. Here, stands in, goes deep for Jackson. Can't run under it. So Paul McCallum and the Lion kick team will come out now and boot this away.
Good protection there from the BC offensive line. Buck Pierce had plenty of time to throw this football as they built the wall around him. Good coverage on the back end. Omar Morgan was right with Paris Jackson. Had to be a perfectly thrown ball, and that one was just a little too far.
We'll watch the protection that Buck Pierce has afforded tonight. BC offensive line with some continuity and healthy players has not allowed a sack over the last 2 games. Weston Dressler back at his 10-yard line, has to come forward on this. No yards call. 33-yard kick from McCallum tonight in BC place. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Beginning of back-to-backs, Saskatchewan, BC, and Michael Bishop, CFL Offensive Player of the Week, back at the helm for the Roughriders. And right away to Wes Cates, who has been a most outstanding Player of the Year candidate throughout the season for the Roughriders.
The Roughriders offense has had to rely a great deal on Wes Cates, and Cates has certainly been up to the challenge. He comes into tonight's action tied with Joffrey Reynolds for the league lead in rushing. Of course, new quarterback Michael Bishop coming off a phenomenal week in which he was the league's top offensive player. Makeshift receiving core. Those guys have battled injuries the most. A little shuffling on the offensive line this week as well. Gene Mikowski moves from guard to tackle due to an injury to Wayne Smith.
So a quick 2 and out in this BC Lion defense. We saw what they did to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, basically annihilated the Cats last week.
Well, BC's defense has made it their mission to reestablish their dominance. And these guys, they do it in 2 ways. Number one is the pressure from that defensive line led by Cameron Wake, 13 sacks, 4 of which came last week. Playmaking linebacking core. Javi Glatt has truly established himself as one of the best middle linebackers in the league, and a real ball-hawking secondary led by the veteran Baron Miles, who comes into this one with 4 interceptions.
Jamie Borum was just nailed. Penalty flag. Charles Roberts and Borum, who was hurt before this game, is down on the field. Borum got nailed. The Rider offense is going to come back on the field here.
Borum took one for the team there. This one's going to be a roughing the kicker call because he still had his leg up. It was Jason Araki who came free on the block attempt, missed the ball and ran right into him. There was no contact on the ball. So look for the 15-yard flag and a first down, Saskatchewan.
There it is right there, no doubt. And Jamie Borum, it's a bad left ankle. That's his planting foot. There was some concern that the Riders would not have Borum this week. We were kind of surprised to see him. He made the trip, said today, I'm not missing this. I once kicked with a torn ACL, my kicking leg. That's his plant foot. He looked like he was in a little pain, grimacing before the game. He's probably in a little pain right now. We'll get another update from the sideline. So the Rough Rider offense back on the field now. Bishop, play action. And the catch made by Henri Childs. Picking up half the first down yardage. What a week last week for Michael Bishop.
Well, Michael Bishop engineered a memorable comeback against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A phenomenal fourth quarter, en route to completing 80% of his passes. He was 24 of 30, 370 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This is exactly why the Saskatchewan Roughriders went out and got this guy. A tremendous athlete, a leader, a guy capable of making plays for his team.
The fourth quarterback the BC Lions have seen from Saskatchewan this year. Bishop in trouble. And it looks like he's going to be about a yard shy. Javi Glatt stopped him in his tracks as Bishop tried to get outside. Looks like it might be a yard for the first down.
Well, this is a nice job by Javi Glatt. This is a run by design with Michael Bishop. He's got that runner throw option. Glatt does a nice job in the open field on a quarterback who runs like a running back. Gets his outside leverage to make sure Bishop can't beat him around the edge. Then make sure he grabs at least some cloth and waits for some help to come to wrap up.
They're bringing Chris Zarka out on the field. Bishop is staying out, so the Riders are going to go for it here. 3rd and a yard. Keep in mind, Jamie Bourne just also got nailed.
Reporting as ineligible.
He looks like he's all right on the sideline. They're going to go after this now.
This is the kind of situation where the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they need to take this chance and try and keep the BC defense on the field.
Look at this, 3rd down. Bishop in the shotgun, not behind center. Hands off to Cates, gets a head start in the first down. You don't see that very often.
No, kind of a unique set, but it makes a lot of sense in that it allows the ball to get to Wes Cates a little deeper so he can see that blocking scheme develop as he builds up some momentum towards the line of scrimmage. Nice creativity by Ken Miller. Nice quick hitter, good job at the point of attack by that Saskatchewan offensive line.
Here it is again, the 3rd down gamble pays off. Javi Glatt missing on Cates. So now into Lion territory go the Rough Riders. Bishop stands in, goes deep. Looking for Vincent Marshall. This is a different receiving core, certainly second set of receivers really in many ways for the Rough Riders this year with all of the injuries. It's also a smaller receiving core.
Yeah, definitely a smaller group, and in many ways you could make the argument this could even be their 3rd set of receivers. So much has been said about what they've gone through at quarterback, winning games with 4 different starting quarterbacks. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have employed 14 different receivers over the course of this season.
Bishop fires to the sideline and over the head of Rob Bagg, who had a big week last week out of Queens. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape of the receivers.
Well, over the last couple of years, the height in their receiving core has been a big part of Saskatchewan's offense, particularly with Andy Fantuz and Matt Dominguez. They added 6'4" Darius Bowman this year. With all the injuries, the guys who have stepped into those roles, Weston Dressler, Vincent Marshall, Jerron Walker, the Smurfs.
He also, though, you could take a look at, they might call it a height disadvantage, but you know what? Those Smurfs, as you call them, have got great hands, including Weston Dressler. What an impact he has had this season for the Rough Riders. Borum trying to angle. 15-yard line for Roberts, who hasn't handled too many punt return duties this season when he was in Winnipeg. BC Lions getting ready to take over the football right now, scoreless as we go to the sideline now and join Perry Sokolsky.
Rod, it's been a fun week for us, offensive coordinator Dan Durazio and Jacques Chapelain trying to game plan what to do with Charles Roberts. Their pencils were working like crazy. The first time Roberts and Logan were in the backfield Tuesday at practice, afterwards Stefan Logan said, boy, we ran into each other an awful lot. We're going to have to memorize this playbook. So the coaches brought out the pencils again and decided we better use some of the erasers. They've decided they have to pare things down. They're excited about the possibilities with Roberts in the backfield with Stephon Logan, but it's going to be a week 1 and a week of progress with number 1 in the backfield.
Well, Wally Buono has called it high risk, but possibly high reward having Roberts back there. The reward for Charles Roberts tonight will be 7 more yards. Put himself in some elite company. Play action, Buck Pierce on the roll. Once again finds G. Simon. Brought down by Maurice Lloyd. The linebacking core of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the strength of their defense.
And one of the strengths for this BC Lions team, the play of their receivers. And it's not just about catching the football. Sometimes it's about doing the dirty work. If you watch on the edge, Jason Claremont, number 82 in this situation, asked to be a blocker against defensive end Ketwana Jones. Pins him down on the inside. That's what allows Buck Pierce to get around the corner and deliver that throw. Great job doing the little things by number 82, Jason Claremont.
Charles Roberts fumbles the football. And the Roughriders have it. Ketwana Jones scoops it up.
Ketwana Jones has somewhat quietly become a real playmaker in this Saskatchewan defense. He's number 46, lined up at the left defensive end spot here. Scott Schultz, a nice job flowing to the play, and it's Sean Lucas who makes the initial hit. Pulls that ball out.
Maurice Lloyd also.
Jones is the man who gets to it. This is going to be interesting to see if BC is going to challenge, because Roberts looked pretty close to being down before that one popped out.
Looked like the knee might have been, but no challenge flag.
Surprised given the field position that he didn't throw it.
Fumble recovery by Jones. Twin backs now. Zarka leading the blocking for Wes Cates is swallowed up by Cam Wake, one of the most exuberant. No wonder he is exuberant. He's normally tackling somebody. Last week, 4 sacks against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He has a route going on right now. Leads the CFL with 13 quarterback sacks.
Well, the frightening thing about him having 13 sacks, the next 2 guys on the list combined have a total of 14, 7 apiece.
Saskatchewan Roughriders as a team have that many. Bishop stands in a one-hopper and knocked down after he threw the football. Bishop is getting some good protection here so far, is unable to find his receiver, so now the Roughriders will come out. Luka Konji will attempt a field goal here and put Saskatchewan on the board.
Keep an eye on the left tackle here, Rod. As you mentioned, the good protection. Gene Mikowski is being asked to play tackle for the first time this year. And he's got a tough matchup. Ends up against Cameron Wake on that play. Mikowski doing a very good job so far. An injury to Wayne Smith forced him to shuffle the deck on offensive line. Mikowski has played that left tackle spot for years, so he is the logical one to slide out. We'll talk about getting thrown right back into the fire.
From the 45, Saskatchewan strikes first with 5.5 to go in the first quarter. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra, professional grade. The defending Grey Cup champions, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, in BC tonight. They're back at it again next week in Regina. There they are. Charles Roberts, Stephon Logan, Jamie Borum is all right. Puts a heavy leg into this one. And here's Logan. To get a wall, find a seam, head down, and gets over the 35-yard line. So Charles Roberts fumbled, but he's only 2 yards away from the 10,000-yard club.
And as he approaches the mark, we take a look at the guys who are already there. First to reach it, Johnny Bright, followed by the great Saskatchewan Roughrider George Reed. Of course, the only quarterback in the group, Damon Allen. and most recently, the league's all-time leading rusher, Mike Pringle. Next up, number 1, Charles Roberts.
They employ the two-back system now. And coming around is Logan, but was not fooled. Anton McKenzie and Maurice Lloyd both were reading that. Maurice Lloyd was able to drag him down.
Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker, number 47, middle of your screen, reacts very quickly to this play. The thing that helped out Lloyd on that play, if you saw just at the end, the halfback Eddie Davis, by keeping his outside leverage on the approaching blocker, Jimenez, forced Logan to slow down and allowed Maurice Lloyd to make the tackle from behind.
2nd down and 8. Pierce. And Rufus Skillern. Ball got knocked away, so an incomplete pass. Skillern, one of the newcomers to the Lions receiving corps, and once again Paul McCallum will have to come out and boot this away.
No big surprise to see the two defenses be the story in the early going here. You see Rufus Skillern coming back to his quarterback on the hook route with great coverage from the veteran Eddie Davis.
McCallum at his 25-yard line. Vincent Marshall is back for the Riders. And he is quickly brought down at his 36. 3-0 Riders, 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Next Sunday, TSN2 has live CFL coverage as the Edmonton Eskimos head into Montreal to take on the Alouettes. Live coverage available on TSN2 beginning at 1 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. The game also available on TSN.ca and RDS. TSN2 now available nationally on Bell TV. For more information, call your cable or satellite provider. Saskatchewan and BC. Little smash mouth football so far here tonight. Defense is dominating. Michael Bishop now behind center. Play action. He's looking for Zarka and Weston Dressler. Zarka out of the backfield. Dressler behind him, and Weston Dressler has his first catch of the night. It's for a first down.
One of the things we're going to keep an eye on here tonight is different strategies that teams are using to try and deal with those defensive ends for the BC Lions. In this case, it's widening them out a little bit by playing a double tight end formation. By doing that, they can move the defensive ends out an extra gap, keeping them further away from the quarterback, as well as adding extra blockers. That gives a little bit more protection and hopefully a little more time to quarterback Michael Bishop to throw the ball.
Cates on first down has another. What can you say about Wes Cates and what he has brought to the Saskatchewan Roughriders since he came over last year in the trade? Not only on the ground, also out of the backfield. A guy who not only runs and catches, but also can block. He can do it all.
Yeah, he really is one of the most versatile backs in the league. And it's a good thing for the Saskatchewan team. Wes Cates has been so steady. As we said earlier, he's the league's leading rusher, also the leading receiver on this Saskatchewan team. Nice to have that one familiar face in the huddle for the Saskatchewan quarterbacks in a season where there's been a lot of turnover in the receiving corps.
Oh, and there's a penalty flag, some movement at the line. Wes Cates, great numbers. Had his bell rung last week in the game against Winnipeg by Bombers safety Ian Logan.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan number 17. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
So quarterback induced.
And there you see the numbers for Wes Cates on the season, just how good he's been. We mentioned the league's leading rusher, Saskatchewan's leading receiver, also number 1 in the league with 10 touchdowns. Big part of that green zone offense, obviously, punching it in.
1st and 15. Bishop, strong arm again. Penalty flag almost picked off by Dante Marsh. Penalty flag in the backfield. It could be a holding call. And it is. against the Rider line.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 57. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Just to continue that thought on Wes Cates and those 10 touchdowns, Rod, you want to know how important he is to Saskatchewan's success. The Roughriders are 7-0, undefeated in games in which Wes Cates gets into the end zone.
Well, both teams have not had much success marching the football here tonight. Not been able to get to the end zone. Another penalty flag. Bishop taking off with it. He's brought down by Aaron Hunt, whose brother Reggie, of course, used to play with the Roughriders before going to Montreal. And was it Weston Dressler who was offside here? Penalties have taken some momentum away from this drive by Saskatchewan.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 7. That penalty's declined. Second down.
This is one of the challenges with going through so many different quarterbacks. Remember, 4 different quarterbacks that started for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Every quarterback's got a different cadence, different intonation in his voice, and so on. The receivers rely on that cadence to get their timing, hitting the line of scrimmage with their motion. No doubt these guys are still trying to get used to Michael Bishop.
Behind center, out of the backfield. Bishop, who probably has the strongest arm in the league, decided on the screen pass there, and so Jamie Borum will come out and they'll have to kick it away. They dug themselves a big hole, and again, it was self-induced because of those penalties.
Yeah, not a lot of plays in the playbook for second down and 25. Tried to make it back with the screen, at least to gain a little bit of field position, but the BC Lions sniffed that one out in a hurry. And once again, it's Jamie Borum back to punt.
And Stephon Logan. Back this time, he and Charles Roberts sharing the return duties. Lost in the shuffle in this game. Ian Smart, 1,600 yards in combined yardage. Usually the return man, special teams player of the year last year, who did not dress tonight because of Logan and Roberts. And here goes Logan. Jamie Borum will have to knock him out. He does. Biggest play so far. Not so fast, Stephon Logan, even though you are fast. A penalty on that return, so negated.
Number 70, Dan McCullough, looking like the guilty party on this play. You're going to see him blocking the center, Jocelyn Fournette, right in the middle of your screen. He just held on a little bit too long as he didn't know which way Logan was going to cut off the block. He guessed wrong.
And there it is, Charles Roberts joins the 10,000-yard club. And he does it as a BC Lion. Welcome to some very elite company, Charles Roberts. And you belong there.
Good to see Charles Roberts stop to get the football once he realized he had gotten that milestone. And looks like Milt Stiegel taught him well. We saw Milt break that all-time receiving yardage record with style last night against Toronto. Charles Roberts, nice burst on that play instead of a little 1-yarder to go over the 10,000 miles.
Harris Jackson bursting outside, kicks it there. Knocked out of bounds, and another first down. Isn't that coincidental? Charles Roberts and Milt Stiegel, double threat in Winnipeg for so many years, and they have milestone games during the same weeks in the CFL season.
Yeah, it's just fitting, and for the fans in Winnipeg who clearly hoped that Charles Roberts would reach that 10,000 mark as a member of the Blue Bombers. I know Charles Roberts gives a lot of thanks to the support he received in the years in Winnipeg and the teammates he had there that helped him to reach that.
There he is again. The pressure on the Saskatchewan defense, but their goal, their focus this week, fill the gaps, especially with Roberts and Logan. A milestone night for Charles Roberts. His Lions are down 3-0 after one quarter. An historic night for Charles Roberts.
And there you see the milestone ball. They're taking good care of that. That's taped up better than some ankles I've seen.
Our first quarter number is brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always not an offensive showcase, not yet, but you might expect that with two very good defenses.
Yeah, exactly. And the teams feeling each other out a little bit. Defenses have the advantage in the early going here. For both these teams, it's really going to be about ball control a little bit here tonight and trying to wear those opposing defenses down. That's what's going to give these two offenses their best opportunity to make plays.
Very interesting for the BC Lions trying to employ Charles Roberts in their offense. And you might think that during this week it has been a little difficult trying to come up with schemes and plays to get two diminutive backs into the offense.
Yeah, it really is, because you're not in a situation where one of those guys is someone who you're going to ask to be a lead blocker, both of them in that 180-pound range. So you're losing a blocker in a lot of your run game when you have both those guys in.
But Pierce scrambles out of trouble, and Paris Jackson again. Well, a week after not having any catches, the brand new Papa's having a good night so far.
And Paris Jackson's right back on track. This is the way he's played all season long. Little cross motion, he winds up in the slot. Jackson goes on that underneath route. The safety, Scott Gordon, is the man who's got to come up to cover that route. But Gordon playing deep in his safety spot, that allows Jackson a little bit more room, a little bit more time to run that route, get the completion from Buck Pierce.
Logan dropped, maybe even lost a yard here. Jimmy Verdon filling in for the injured Marcus Adams.
And that one's a little bit of a physical mismatch, one-on-one. Stephon Logan, 5'7", 180 pounds. Jimmy Verdon, 6'4", about 3 bills. Verdon shakes off the block. Rob Murphy was trying to block down on him. That's a tough angle. Verdon beats him across to get in the hole and make the play.
Again, Verdon and Keontae Williams, number 93 on the line. He's a towering specimen. As the rush in, Pierce with some time, rolls out of trouble, and Pierce is brought down and knocked out of bounds. Mike McCullough in on the play. And for the first time in a few games, an opposition is able to get to the BC quarterback.
You're going to see Mike McCullough lines up as the end in this scheme. As Buck Pierce gets flushed, remember McCullough can see where Pierce is going. The offensive tackle blocking, Jason Jimenez can't. Gives the advantage to the defensive player. He's able to react and get outside and make a play.
First sack that offensive line has given up in 3 games. Paul McCallum, the former Rough Rider kicker, angles one, but this goes out of bounds, and a single point will be added. 4-0 Rough Riders in BC. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Score is 3-1 Saskatchewan. Lions getting on the board. The single by Paul McCallum. Michael Bishop now. Rolls out. And with the golden arm to Weston Dressler. He's got it. Big play. Bishop to Dressler.
Weston Dressler has emerged as the go-to guy in this Saskatchewan receiving corps. This play happens largely because of the efforts of number 67, the guard Mike Abumetric, who gets out in front as a personal escort for Michael Bishop, allowing him the time for this play to develop. Anytime you've got a deep route, you need good protection to allow that route to unfold. Mike Abumetric and Wes Cates got out in front of Bishop on that one. A great play by Weston Dressler to catch that ball in traffic.
Between Ryan Phillips and Baron Miles, 6 catches for Dressler. Bishop to the end zone, no one's there.
He was looking for Weston Dressler again, to no one's surprise. Dressler leading the receivers with 5 touchdowns on the season. Dressler went over 100 yards last week. He's a guy who came into this Saskatchewan offense expected to be primarily a kick returner, get a few snaps here and there. He was really about option number 6 or 7 in the receiving corps, but as the injuries piled up in the early season, he got an opportunity to play, and because he delivered, he's really earned the faith of both his coaches and his quarterbacks.
So with Sang, 6 catches last week, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Blue Bombers in the comeback. Outside for Jerron Walker. And there is a penalty flag over there. Bar Glover made the stop. Glenn Johnson sorting this out.
Looks like we may have offensive interference.
Dressler chatting with Aaron Hunt there. Again, these are 2 teams that don't really like each other a whole lot. They've played some very important games over the last few years, and one of the biggest rivalries in the West.
Saskatchewan, number 7, blocking downfield prior to the pass going there. They're going to decline the penalty and make it 3rd down.
What you're going to see is Dressler coming in, trying to, with a bit of a pick play to try and free up his fellow receiver. Excuse me, it's Jerron Walker comes down from the outside and bounces it back out, but he gets a pick, or as the offense would like to call it, a rub on the play from Weston Dressler. But Dressler wasn't quite subtle enough in selling that one.
So the Riders are going to have to settle for a field goal attempt. Luka Kanji, good on 23 of 26 this season. This is a little chip shot from the 20. Right through. And the Roughriders have a 5-point lead, 6-1. Sunday Night Football continues this week on TSN as the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Browns in Cleveland. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, with NFL Football Night in America available on TSN High Definition. No real touchdown threats in this game yet. 6-1 Roughriders. All kickers so far. Stephon Logan shakes one tackle and rubbed out of bounds. And again, a big night for Charles Roberts, his debut as a BC Lion, and he reaches a milestone.
Earlier tonight we saw it, Charles Roberts, his 3rd carry of the game, breaks it for a 1st down, goes over that 10,000 yard mark for his career. A little souvenir for his efforts. Very impressive here in just his 8th Canadian Football League season.
So Blank now part of a very special list. And he knows how important it is to reach 10,000.
It's not a record, it's just a milestone, and a milestone I'm very proud of. It's taken a lot of hard work to get to those 10,000 yards. A lot of good offensive line work with my former team in Winnipeg to get to those 10,000 yards.
Joining George Reed, Mike Pringle, Damon Allen, Johnny Bright. Procedure call on the kickoff, so they'll do this again. And the Lions hoping for a few more yards now. Jamie Borum again. Roberts and Stephon Logan back. Once again, it will be Logan. Trying to find the wall and the edge. Stephon Logan. Oh my! There he goes to the 49-yard line. Finally brought down by James Johnson.
Charles Roberts has a little bit different role on this one. You're going to see him come out from behind the wall. He's supposed to be the lead blocker here. Sets that up to the outside. Nice cutback on the play by Stephon Logan to take that back to the open field, provide his offense with some great field position.
Catching his breath on the sideline. He's had to do a lot of running, so that worked out all right for the Lions after the procedure call. Better field position thanks to Stephon Logan. Roberts in the backfield. Pierce throws. Jason Claremont with his first catch of the night. Claremont takes a lot of hits. And he was the CFL Canadian Player of the Week. Let's take a look at these two tiny tailbacks.
Very similar stature, these two guys, and as it suggests, looking for a very similar big impact from the two little backs. So they can keep those two guys fresh, whether they alternate them, use them in the backfield together. Going to create some mismatches. I think where you'll probably see the best mismatches in using those two guys is at times when they can get them both out at receivers. Opposing teams are going to look at them as a two-back set, probably have their regular linebackers in the game, and if they motion them out of there, they'll have to cover at least one of them with a linebacker. There aren't too many linebackers that can run in the open field with Charles Roberts and Stephon Logan.
Jason Claremont, the Iron Man. He takes a lot of hits, always gets up. This is a rarity that Jason Claremont would not get up right away.
Claremont was in a vulnerable position here. His legs were tied up as he was going down, and then his upper body is getting hit. You see him completely tied up, and he's going to take one more shot. You see his head get pushed off to the right there. The way he's holding his arm, if it's not an arm injury, what it may possibly be the way he's supporting that arm, is possibly a burner. You get that kind of tingling numbness that goes down your arm sometimes when you get a shot to your neck. And that may have been the case on that one.
Claremont takes a number of huge hits every week. Play action again out of the backfield. Stephon Logan did not fool Sean Lucas. Lucas and Lloyd and McKenzie. What a great trio of linebackers for Saskatchewan.
Sean Lucas lines up at that strong side linebacker spot. He's going to end up in man-to-man coverage on the back. Stephon Logan. Great pursuit to the ball. The important thing against these kind of backs, you've got to break down, and Sean Lucas does a tremendous job of that. He came into this game tied with his teammate Anton McKenzie, second in the league with 50 tackles. These guys have just done a tremendous job defensively.
Rufus Skillern probably would like to have that one back, and that was 2nd and 9. And that would have been a first down for the BC Lions. Went right through his paws.
Rufus Skillern had a little bit of trouble getting his feet set on this one. That may have distracted him from just getting his hands on the football here. Couldn't get his feet set to get his body turned around to that one.
Paul McCallum. This near the 45-yard line. Kick is up, and it's good. All kickers so far. Now a 2-point game in BC. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Saskatchewan 6, BC 4. Just over 8.5 minutes to go before halftime. All defense so far. Wes Cates up the gut for a few yards. Michael Bishop, the former Argo quarterback, backup, then starter, then backup again. All the controversy. Now part of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and loving it.
Right now, I'm loving football. It's definitely fun again. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my new teammates. I'm enjoying, the things that we do off the field. I'm enjoying going to practice. I'm enjoying, looking at dress lessons and thinking that, what everybody else thinks. This guy's so small. I could be making plays like that. But I'm living in the moment. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I'm smiling again. I'm having fun.
Well, he was having fun until that happened. And Aaron Hunt bringing it on with a sack of Michael Bishop.
And Aaron Hunt from his defensive tackle spot fights his way upfield on this one. We know he's got that relentless motor. Good push off on Mike Abumetric. Just keeps working to the quarterback. Michael Bishop is a sitting duck on that one. They've got him held in the pocket.
So the first sack tonight for the BC Lions. 2 years ago, the Rookie of the Year. Now Jamie Borum with blink back. End over end kick, a good punt by Borum. Roberts now has to do some dancing and just brings it down. Roberts used to return a lot in Winnipeg, did not for a couple of seasons up until this year. Only 7 returns this year. He admitted that he's a little bit rusty at it. And this is where the BC Lions will miss Ian Smart tonight.
Well, they really will. Ian Smart, the special teams player of the year in the Canadian Football League a year ago, and right back among the league leaders in that combined yardage this year. But it just becomes a matter of numbers, where you have to ask yourself, how many 5'8" running backs, import running backs, can you have on the roster at one time? Apparently the threshold number is 2, and the feeling with Logan and Roberts capable of chipping in on special teams is that Ian Smart is the odd man out, at least for now.
So the ball will move back now. And the Lions, because of the penalty, will be scrimmaging and near their goal line. There's another injury on the field. Already the Roughriders losing Brandon Lynch tonight with what is suspected to be a broken leg. Terrible news for the Riders. Boy, they've already lost some players this year with fractures and broken legs. DJ Flick, Andy Fantuz, and now Brandon Lynch, and we wish him the very best.
Well, it's yet another linebacker. It's Yannick Carter, number 49, who's down on the field right now. So if he and Brandon Lynch are out of the game, that's 2 backup linebackers and very important special teams cover guys for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Let's go down to Perry Sokolsky again.
Rod, they're concerned down with Jason Claremont at the BC Lions bench, an old AC injury that he had. They had to put the joint back in. He's grabbing his uniform now and putting it back on. Couldn't find any feeling in his right forearm for a bit, but after time with the doctors and moving it around, it looks like Claremont will be back in.
So that AC joint, that's where your collarbone meets your sternum, basically, a shoulder separation.
Right there, probably.
And yeah, usually kind of the result of getting squished. A lot of times it's when you're landing on the ground. You see he was in a position when he hit the ground where he couldn't get that right arm down in a way to protect himself on landing. It's usually exactly how those kind of injuries occur.
7:24 to go in the second quarter. Yannick Carter comes off. Jason Claremont, native of Regina. He developed into one of the stars of this game. Dependable, durable receiver. You'd expect that Jason Claremont would be back in this ball game.
Well, in typical Jason Claremont fashion, I think even to get the trainers, allow the trainers to look at it, he was just going along with them. He was just humoring them.
It's like the Bionic Man.
Yeah, we knew he was going to get the pads back on.
Put a part back in him and get going. Pierce to Roberts. And the Green Party greets him.
Here you see Buck Pierce, the BC Lions starting quarterback, at least for the time being. They've had a couple of changes back and forth, but Pierce came out of training camp as the starter. He won that battle with Jarius Jackson through camp, but then got banged up in week 1, and there was some concern about his injuries even dating back to last season. They were worried about his durability. Jackson started for the next little stretch. And since getting back into that starting lineup, Buck Pierce has been unconscious.
2nd and 5 over the middle. Brett Anderson has it. With Claremont on the sideline, Brett Anderson comes in. Makes a big catch and a big gain for the Lions.
Just an illustration of the depth of this BC Lions team. To have a guy, a veteran like Brett Anderson, able to come in, step right in, knows all those receiver positions. He's a guy who's been around this team for 12 years. I know you've got a guy with that kind of experience who can step in for you. Puts your mind at ease a little bit.
Full-time fireman, Brett Anderson. Pierce going deep. Down the sideline for Anderson again. Stayed in bounds and caught the football. There was a time, I remember, when Brett Anderson was thinking about walking away from football.
Yeah, the BC Lions weren't going to let him go very quickly. Number one thing you've got to watch here, once again, pretty good protection from the BC Lions offensive line. They knew they were going to have one man free in that scheme, but able to give Buck Pierce the time to throw the football. Terrific concentration in traffic from Brett Anderson.
Pierce scrambling, spinning, still on his feet, finally brought down. But the two plays, 49 yards. Brett Anderson, a 21-yard pickup, then a 28-yarder. And Buck Pierce had to go to the ground that time.
There are Buck Pierce's numbers over the last two games. Against Montreal, a loss in which he was unbelievable, threw for 400 yards, and of course the victory last week against Hamilton. The biggest thing that Buck Pierce gives this offense that he does better than Jarius Jackson has to do with his accuracy. You saw there over 79% the last two games. He leads all CFL quarterbacks at 71% completion rate on the season.
Over the middle, G. Simon has another first down.
Just by contrast, Jarius Jackson was completing 54% of his passes, which was the lowest among regular quarterbacks.
G. Simon, who just turned 33 years old the other day, was chatting with him before the game, talking about Milt Stegall, and he said, you know, Milt did it in typical Milt fashion last night. Game in Toronto, becoming the all-time yardage receiver. G. Simon very much like Milt Stegall, maybe a little more zigzag in Simon's game, but a big play player. Going to the end zone, trying to lay out for it was Paris Jackson.
Buck Pierce had to throw that football just a little bit earlier than he would have liked. He recognizes that there's a window there, and we've seen Paris Jackson do this before, where he's got this great burst at the end of the play to go get that ball in space. Pierce throws it into the window. Little out and up route. Allows Paris Jackson to get in behind James Johnson. As I said, Pierce threw it just a little bit early, which meant Paris Jackson wasn't quite able to catch up to the football.
Again, second down and 10. Drive that began on the BC 13, trying to get to the red zone. Time for Pierce. Knocked away, and a penalty flag picked up by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but this isn't an interference call. You'd have to think. Mike McCullough coming up with the football. Penalty flag on the other side of the field. At the point of contact, interference against Saskatchewan.
Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Tough to argue on this one.
Yeah, we're going to see the play once again. Watch Lance Frazier, the man in coverage on Paris Jackson.
Just a second early.
Real close call.
It was very close. Now the red zone. Charles Roberts up the middle. Roberts to the end zone. Touchdown. Welcome to BC, Blake.
When the trade was made 2 weeks ago to bring Charles Roberts to BC and send Joe Smith to Winnipeg, much of the feeling was that the change of scenery would do both these players a great deal of good. Things working out pretty well for Charles Roberts so far. So that was classic Blink. Great cutback on that play as he defensive line flowed. Just zone play, started off front side and cut it back to the left when he saw a gap.
Classic. Charles Roberts, cut back, a little slip, then one-on-one with free safety Scott Gordon. And Charles Roberts has the touchdown. First touchdown of the night here in BC, and the Lions take the lead. Charles Roberts, fans in Winnipeg got used to watching number 1 do exactly that.
Charles Roberts had tremendous nose for the end zone. Saw him fighting off the tackle of the free safety Scott Gordon, a physical tackler, to make his way into the end zone. Extra little lunge at the end to punch it through.
His 80th career touchdown, his first as a BC Lion. Vincent Marshall shaking a couple tackles. Marshall getting some positive yardage near the 35-yard line. Roberts again was a spectator last week in Hamilton, and this is what BC Lion fans were waiting for.
And you're going to see great zone running against the flow of the defense, and then Charles Roberts, once he's got everybody flowing front side, he's going to bend it all the way back to the backside. Wherever he sees a gap, that's where he goes. His quickness is so valuable in that sort of offensive scheme, where you need to hit the hole quickly, recognize where the hole is, the cut back lane, or if you want to keep it front side, just the ability to burst in a hurry.
Now Michael Bishop trying to answer, and he does by firing a strike to Weston Dressler.
Good quick hitter from the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they were getting pressure from the secondary. You're going to see a lot of halfback blitzes from BC with Corey Banks. One of the pieces of advice that Ken Miller, the Saskatchewan head coach, has been preaching to his quarterback, Michael Bishop, is not hard, but fast. Bishop is notorious for throwing the football hard. Miller wants him to take a little bit off it, but concentrate on getting rid of the ball quickly.
Bishop on the run again. Marshall. And a first down into BC territory.
You see the sprint out type play here from Michael Bishop. This is a big part of the reason they wanted to bring him here. Everybody knows the success that Saskatchewan had a year ago with Kerry Joseph at quarterback. A very athletic, strong arm player. They can get him outside the pocket where teams have to respect his ability to run, but at the same time have to worry about covering receivers. And if they overcommit to one, you've got a quarterback who can hurt you with the other. Bishop puts people in a quandary that way.
Marshall last week, his first CFL touchdown, 5 catches. Here's the quick one. Dressler again. Dressler. Helmet off, ball on the field. Whistle had blown.
Weston Dressler continuing his great rookie season here in the CFL and continuing his strong connection with new quarterback Michael Bishop. He's been Bishop's go-to guy. One of the few receivers who's been around since the start of training camp.
He's had his injury problems as well, but Dressler, what an impact he's had on the Saskatchewan offense. 4 catches tonight, almost 100 yards already. On the pitch now, Cates, a penalty flag flies right there. Just over the line of scrimmage for Wes Cates. That flag flew as that line was going right, likely against Saskatchewan. Big Tyrone Williams getting the call from the bench.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 39. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Well, there are a lot of tactics you'll see teams use to try and defend Brent Johnson, the great defensive end for BC. Most of them are above board. This one, not so much. 2 guys on him. They still have to hold him. As you see the arm of the fullback, Chris Zarka, and the tackle, Glenn January. Each one kind of had a hand on Brent Johnson's back.
Bishop hangs in. Dressler again. First and 20. Gets 13 yards, so half of that, a minute 16 to go, as The Roughriders try to respond to that BC touchdown, put some more points on the board, and now Weston Dressler, Dwayne, is over 100 yards pass receiving tonight.
And part of the reason, the pass protection provided by right tackle Glenn January. He's the man up against Brent Johnson on this play. Does a good job moving his feet to stay in front of Johnson and getting hands on. A good punch for a little bit of separation. So Johnson's unable to pull his jersey to work a swim move.
And movement on the line with a minute to go before halftime. Big play coming up for the Riders. Trying to find the end zone for the first time tonight.
Well, this one's probably going to be on the left tackle, Gene Mikowski. Got happy feet a little bit, and the reason he got nervous in this one is because he saw a safety blitz from Darren Miles coming.
Saskatchewan, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Again, Mikowski playing at tackle. Two-time outstanding lineman in the Canadian Football League. That's when he was a tackle.
Yeah, Gene Mikowski has lots of experience playing this spot and has certainly fought battles over the years with Brent Johnson, a little bit last year with Cam Wake. But the footwork and the angles are a little different, and he's become accustomed to playing guard since the start of this year. So it'll be a little bit of an adjustment for him, especially with the speed of the guys opposite him.
Bishop on the roll and has it knocked out of bounds. And the official has not made a signal. Looks like it's still Saskatchewan football, and Luca Conji will come out with 51 seconds left in the half. Michael Bishop had no one to throw to there.
Well, and this situation is just straight pressure. They brought that safety blitz just like they hinted they were going to do on the play before. That allows them to get a couple of bodies upfield in a hurry and flush Bishop out. Great pursuit on the play by Jamal Johnson. Good awareness as well, recognizing that Bishop was holding that football down low to go for the strip.
So Luca Conji will try to make this a 2-point game. From the 39, the hold, the kick is up. Luca Conji does what he gets paid to do. A great percentage for the Riders this year. Conji perfect tonight, and now it's 11-9 with 29 seconds to go before halftime. TSN is the home of NASCAR. Tomorrow, the track heats up at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Sylvania 300. Live coverage begins at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, available in TSN high definition. 29 seconds to go. Will the BC Lions kind of run this out and eat up the clock and take the lead into the locker room, or will they try to put some more points on the board? Charles Roberts, lone touchdown here tonight. Lone back in the backfield, so Pierce is going to keep throwing. And he has the receiver. And once again, it's G-Roy Simon. So another one or two of these, he's got time. That's Simon's 4th catch of the night. And the Lions could find themselves in field goal position.
The Lions were into no huddle mode there for a minute, but quickly had to huddle it up as they were shuffling personnel in and out. Charles Roberts out of the game, Khalil Hill in at receiver.
Clock running, so is Pierce. And once again, Paris Jackson wisely out of bounds.
Nice execution on the clock stopping play from the Lions.
9 seconds to go here. Paul McCallum, the veteran, has got a good foot. 45 yards is his longest this season. Throughout his career, he has certainly hit from beyond 50. This would be from around 51, so they're going to try one more shot here. Probably an out pattern. And a whistle. Penalty flag again. This line move. Yes, they did.
In one of those situations where you just can't afford the extra couple yards in penalty yardage. Knocks you out of even taking a shot. Keep an eye on the left guard on this play.
Procedure, BC number 59. 5-yard penalty will repeat first down. Timer, add 1 second to the clock.
Kelly Bates, the guilty party on that one, just jumped a little bit early. And again, Saskatchewan in that case was bringing the safety blitz. Bates knew he had to get on the move in a hurry and tried to anticipate the snap.
This has to be a quick hitter. This has to be a quick hitter, Dwayne. 9 seconds. If they want to get within field goal range.
Look for quick outs on both sides here.
Pierce over the middle. Still a few ticks left on the clock.
And G-Roy Simon felt like he had an opportunity to make a play here. He ran that quick out. Buck Pierce, I think, sensed that Omar Morgan was a little bit too close for comfort on that one.
Really only time for one play here. Maybe a little Hail Mary. We saw one last night.
I don't know if they have a former college basketball player on their team.
Pierce, quick out pattern, dropped it. Rufus Skiller. So still a couple seconds left.
3 balls thrown in the direction of Rufus Skillern tonight. He's had a shot at all 3, but hasn't been able to come up with a catch. That's a big one because that's potential points. If he's able to catch that, get down, call a timeout, or get out of bounds, they're well within Paul McCallum's field goal range. Now, they have no choice now but to take a shot at the end zone.
Rufus would be wise not to stand too close to Wally Buono in the next little while. Final play before halftime. Pierce is going to take off with it, and that's it. Kickers do most of the work here in the first half. Charles Roberts, his first touchdown as a Lion. That's the difference. 11-9 BC.
Live at the half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Welcome inside our CFL studios. Dave Randorf, Jock Climbey, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. It is 11-9 of the half of the BC Lions over the league-leading defending Grey Cup champions, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Points are hard to come by. A couple of defenses playing very tough in this one under the big top. Let's talk about the Roberts-Logan factor here, the big trade that brought Roberts to town. You know, 2 weeks in a row, the BC Lions have really executed offensively. They're 1-1 in those games, but Buck Pierce has finally established as their #1 quarterback. They're executing offensively, and the Lions and Wally Buono decide to throw a major wrinkle into that offense by bringing in Roberts.
Well, there are consequences, I think, when you try to do something unusual, something novel, and which what they're trying to do here. Yeah. 2 scat backs and trying to play them both at the same time at times. And what we've seen so far, I think, is that in the first half in particular, there were problems. Starting with the opening kickoff, the irony here wasn't lost on anyone, I don't think, that these two are now figuring out there's only one football between the two of them. And in this case, Logan steals away from Roberts, and they go up the field. But it continues on offense. They've actually put some new plays in. You can see where they're trying to get these two guys involved. And here you see a perfect example of it where they're actually trying to put these two guys at wide receiver on the same play. I can't recall ever seeing an offensive set where 2 tailbacks split out at wide receiver. Does it work out? I don't think it really does work out. You see here it's an incomplete pass, and what do you see here but Logan right where he's not supposed to be in Paris Jackson's throwing lane. So that wasn't working well for them. Here's a play that I actually liked. I mean, it's very creative. It's a great idea. Try to get a little misdirection going right here, and you're going to see that we're going to fake with Roberts up here, and Logan's going to come around the end. But Saskatchewan stays disciplined. They stay in their lanes, and actually the play doesn't go anywhere. But when you try to offensively put a bunch of different plays in the middle of the season, Matt, there's going to be consequences. They've moved away from that as the half has progressed, and I think they're getting a little more offensive output as a result.
Yeah, Jock, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, this football team was on a roll offensively, and I think Buck Pierce was finding a nice rhythm, and he's lost his rhythm until late in that half there. And I agree completely. They've got 51 total yards between them. Yes, Charles Roberts has broken the 10,000-yard barrier. And what I do like is how they flatten the line of scrimmage out here with 2 tight ends. Now, this is not a stretch. This is not not new. But what this does is flatten out the defense and opens up a big hole for Charles Roberts, and then he does the rest. And Charles Roberts actually breaks the record on this play, and it's an outstanding run when he runs over Scott Gordon, Dave. And I just don't think that you need to go ahead and jam this into their offensive philosophy because they have so many weapons out there. Just go ahead and use Charles and Stephon in the same manner, but dispel them in and out of the game.
Logan's got 1 yard.
1 yard receiving.
Yeah, but kick
1
return,
yard, 1 yard
kick,
rushing.
Kick returns 108 yards.
Yeah, but the guy is one of the best tailbacks in the league right now. He's got 1 yard rushing in the first half.
I don't know.
I got problems with that.
Schultz, you tell me. Two players who want the ball.
They want the ball, but who's the better player? Who is the better player? Who's
the
younger player?
Right now?
Who's the younger, more athletic player?
Logan.
Who has the better burst?
We've said it all season long.
Yes. End of argument. End of argument.
That run that Matt showed by Roberts is the best run we've seen from him all year.
And he almost stumbled before he went into the end zone. He almost lost his feet. Stephon Logan.
Leverage.
No doubt in my mind. For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, how about Michael Bishop? You know, you're just going to have to live with this because in the first quarter, he looked very, how would you say, over-anxious to make a play. You see here on some of his passes, that one underneath, it's going to come up and he's going to throw one a little bit too far over the head. But as time goes on, he settles down as a quarterback. This is remarkable to be able to throw this deep going to your right and hit the receiver at that moment. And that's the beauty of Michael Bishop. It doesn't matter whether if you're down by 7 or 10 points. Because he can make plays like that, you always have an opportunity to win. You can see his confidence is coming and his rhythm is coming. Second half, Michael Bishop will play better.
The beauty of Michael Bishop. How about the beauty of Weston Dressler?
Yeah.
This guy
what a find he is.
Yeah, he is quite a find. That catch that he made in traffic on that long bomb, I mean,
great.
he's impressing you, right?
Yeah, and that ball was in the air. Those are the tough ones. Balls in the air forever. He did a great job.
We want to let you know that next week you can catch the Eskimos and the Alouettes on TSN 2. Make note of that. It's also on tsn.ca and on RDS. TSN 2 right now is available on Bell TV coast to coast. For more information on TSN 2, including a complete list of television providers, visit tsn2.ca. It is 11-9 Lions over the Riders at the half.
Roberts to the end zone. Touchdown. Welcome to BC, Blake.
Welcome back. Here are the halftime numbers, brought to you as always by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Jocko?
No, it's not
sorry,
Jocko.
Matt.
It's Matt. Jock circling something, and I'll talk about it. And I can talk about the defenses right here. 66 yards rushing with combined Charles Roberts and Stephon Logan in the backfield. Saskatchewan, no wonder they're leading the league in most top defensive statistical categories.
Yeah, you don't want to get the guy with the stats wrong. It's always a hotly contested job here in the studio. Earlier tonight, we watched a wild one as Hamilton went into Commonwealth Stadium. What? Ricky Ray threw 4 interceptions? I beg your pardon? Is that right?
Well, you know, he's banged up coming into this football game, but he did go on and play. I'll tell you what, if you like defense, you really like this football game. The offense, suspect at times. However, the Edmonton Eskimos did pull this thing out. Another injury, you know, Harris left with a sprained knee, and this guy picked it up. Calvin McCarty busting 3, 21-yard score. Edmonton takes the lead late, 38-33, a minute left here. Casey Printers, last chance for the Ticats. He's going to fumble. Eskimos recover. That's pretty much the game. Edmonton hangs on, keeping pace with the Stampeders. Meantime, Jays, Red Sox, Toronto wins game 1 of the doubleheader, but Boston takes game 2 of the doubleheader. They come back and takes this thing 7-5. So the Jays gaining no ground in the wild card race in the American League. A lot of great races in baseball, including a very tight NL East. Of course, all your CFL highlights coming up on SportsCenter following football. Dave and the guys return after these.
Back at BC Place for the second half tonight. Riders and Lions, TSN. The exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home of the Grey Cup. Brent Johnson, Paris Jackson on the bike. The Lions with the lead by 2. Let's go down to Perry Sokolsky with Rider head coach Ken Miller.
Coach, 2 high-flying offenses. Are you surprised defense dominate?
Well, our defenses are, both teams are dominating, and offensively we just we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, again, penalties and then some untimely incompletions. We have to sustain drives a little bit better.
You lose a player in the first play of the game. Does everybody look at each other and go, just another day for us?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You lost a player in the first play of the game. Do you look at each other and go, same old Saskatchewan games?
Well, no, not exactly that, but it is deep disappointment to lose a player like that. And again, it just adds up.
Thanks. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Boy, an injured list almost as long as their active roster. Brandon Lynch out of the ball game and likely out for a while. The first play of the game here tonight, the kickoff. Charles Roberts goes over 10,000 yards rushing in his career. A 10,000-yard list now. Johnny Bright, George Reed, Mike Pringle, Damon Allen. There's Vince Marshall. He's back with Weston Dressler. Brett Anderson will kick it off here to start the second half. Vincent Marshall. A lot of orange jerseys around him. Here comes Michael Bishop now. Let's take a look at the two quarterbacks and their numbers after 2 quarters.
Yeah, and the quarterbacks weren't really a huge story in the first half. Neither one of them was really able to get into the kind of rhythm we've seen from either of them through the last 2 weeks. A few adjustments will no doubt be made at halftime and see if either one of them can really get on track. We mentioned towards the end of the first half, well, Buck Pierce completing 12 of 20, so he's at 60%. You factor in a couple of drops that he had, and Buck Pierce is right around his usual 70% target.
Play action again in pursuit of Bishop on the out pattern. Rob Bagg makes the catch. He had his first CFL receptions last week, his first 6 catches, and his first here tonight.
And Rob Bagg lining up on the outside here and is going to run a comeback route. Pushes his defender deep and then comes back towards the sidelines. Shorten up the throw for his quarterback, Michael Bishop. Second best receiver ever out of Queen's University.
Made the team, went back to school last year. Bishop again. And brought down. Ball is fumbled. Michael Bishop says he was down, and guess who was there? Cam Wake. Third sack of the night for the BC Lions, and that's number 14 on the season for last year's most outstanding defensive player.
Yeah, and Cam Wake has taken it one step further here in 2008. Not just the league's best defensive player. In my opinion, Cameron Wake is the most dominant player at any position in the Canadian Football League right now.
That says a lot. Last year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Delivers some hellacious hits. Look out again. Bishop now looking for Marshall, and he couldn't find the football. Michael Bishop on his butt back at the 40. And this BC Lions rush coming out ferociously here in the second half.
And Brent Johnson was the man who got the pressure that time. He and Cameron Wake, such terrific bookends at their defensive end spots. I'm just more impressed every time I see Cameron Wake play, and I think of the great pass rushers of the last generation in the CFL, guys like Joe Montford, Bobby Jurison, and Cameron Wake just combines the best of all of those guys.
Guy who has the leaping ability of a slam dunk champion, Stefan Logan, kicks it outside, still on his feet. Logan zigzagging to the 49-yard line. Stefan Logan adds some dazzle here tonight. 25-yard return. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. As we are in the serious stretch drive, September football. Winds start to howl in October, and then November looms. Two teams with their eyes on the playoffs in the West. Buck Pierce. Harris Jackson can't hang on. Omar Morgan right there. Let's go down once again and join Perry Sokolsky. Perry?
Rod, this is almost comical. 6 guys on the Riders have broken legs now and are out this season. 3 of them have taken place here at BC Place. DJ Flick and Mitchell broke their legs when they were last here to take on the Lions. And then, of course, what we saw in the first play with Brandon Lynch breaking his.
Amazing that this team has been able to continue their winning ways with so many players lost to injury, and not just minor injuries, serious, debilitating injuries. Says a lot about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and that ball was almost picked off. Free safety Scott Gordon almost had the interception.
And Buck Pierce is looking for his deep crossing route on this play. The ball just sails on him over the head of Paris Jackson. Unfortunately bounced just in front of Scotty Gordon.
I think you get a sense too as you take a look at Buck Pierce of what this Rough Rider team accomplished last year as Grey Cup champions and how it has carried over to this year. This is a team that seriously believes they can win every night, no matter the adversity. And of course, going out, trading Terry Joseph, bringing in Michael Bishop a little bit later on to be their starting quarterback, a guy who had a lot of success with Toronto. Tell you what, the Argos last night could have used a backup quarterback in many ways, but Michael Bishop, look at those numbers, 13-1 as a starting quarterback. The last loss that Michael Bishop incurred as a starter with the Argos was against the BC Lions.
Well, right here in this stadium, his last regular season loss almost exactly 1 year ago. He was held to 125 yards passing in that game.
Cates, Wes Cates with a first down. Looked like he may have been stopped along the sideline, and Wes Cates is a difference maker. And when the Saskatchewan Roughriders get him going, it usually paves the way to a win.
Well, it really does. We talked about the connection between Wes Cates scoring touchdowns and the Roughriders win-loss record. You get a taste of the physical action down there on the field. Saskatchewan is 7-0 in games in which Wes Cates scores a touchdown.
Riders have not scored a touchdown here tonight. Ron Walker with the catch. And one of the replacements that Eric Tillman had to bring in, general manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who's done a remarkable job trying to jettison in players and come up with this patchwork lineup.
Well, typically during the season when you're bringing players in, you like to have a little bit of time to evaluate them, have them on your practice roster to decide what you're going to have. Saskatchewan's case with injuries, they've had to bring them in and put them right in the lineup.
Raw bag couldn't hang on. Tight coverage there. LeVar Glover. Good play by Bishop. Kind of froze the defense for a moment. But now Jamie Borum will have to come out, and once again, it's a game of field position here early in the third quarter.
And we're going to take another look at the play of Cam Wake as they try to slow him down a little bit, that time using the slot back. Adam Nicholson coming outside in, motion as if he's going to crack the end. That forces him to hesitate because Cameron Wake has that contained responsibility. He can't get out flank, so if he thinks someone's coming from outside him, he's got to hold up to fight outside that block. Just another one of those creative schemes that you see to try and limit the pressure from these two ends, Brent Johnson and Cam Wake.
Well, the two Mighty Mites are back, and Borum elects to go for the sideline. Both Logan and Roberts back on that kick. 11-9, BC will step aside. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you are in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Two Western rivals. First place, Saskatchewan Roughriders and the BC Lions. Try to pull a little closer in the West with the lead here by 2 points. Logan rocked. He went up the middle. Couple of cuts there. And now some of the stuff you normally see when the Lions and the Riders get together, and Rob Murphy's usually in the middle of it.
It's usually a good thing for the BC Lions when Rob Murphy is in the middle of it, mixing it up, bringing a little bit of fire. That scrum started. Rob Murphy had a drive block on Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker. The two ended up locked up at the end of the play. A little pushing and shoving ensued. As you said, that's the nature of the rivalry that's been built up between these two teams over the last couple of years as they've fought for West Division supremacy.
Pierce on a crossing pattern. Stopped in his tracks was G. Roy Simon. Yeah, you look at rivalries, the natural ones, the interprovincial rivalries that we often see, but this might be the most fierce rivalry based on what's happened the last few years. Of course, Saskatchewan derailing Wally Buono's hopes last year, going to the Grey Cup game and winning the championship. The BC Lions have been invincible and vulnerable. It seems this year after the last 4 years of being on top of the CFL West. Not this year with the Riders and their proud nation following them. First place team now. What a rivalry it has become. James Johnson is back. Johnson, special teams doing a good job for BC tonight. Now, speaking of that rivalry, let's go back to the West Final. Kerry Joseph, Andy Fantuz. Right here in BC Place. Neil Hughes with a touchdown. And the Riders were on their way, riding to the Grey Cup game.
They're the team that has been most successful against a BC team that's been dominant against everybody else over the last couple seasons.
Bishop in the shotgun and up the middle, and maybe that little peak of vulnerability came a year ago when BC won on the last play, a touchdown against Saskatchewan. Since that time, the Riders have gone 16-3. And their 6-4 record over the last 10 games at BC Place, including 3 straight wins.
And that includes a great comeback win by the Saskatchewan Roughriders back in week 2 of this season, a game in which they lost DJ Flick, lost Marcus Crandall. It was the Darian Durant show as he came on in the second half.
Bishop now in trouble, has to run. Wake in pursuit. Hammers him, but Bishop threw the football away, and there's a penalty flag. And that will move the football for the Riders. Or will it? Bishop.
The argument, it looks like the call is grounding.
Yes, it is.
If the ball went out before it reached the line.
Saskatchewan, number 17.
Michael Bishop.
Third down.
Argued the call. Thought for a moment it might have been a late hit on Wake.
If you watch closely on this play, the line of scrimmage is the 40-yard line. As Michael Bishop gets into trouble here, as the troops close in, he throws this one away. He's at the 30. You can see that marker representing the line of scrimmage.
Good call by Glenn Johnson right there. And now, again, this battle for field position in the third quarter. Stefan Logan is back. A couple of big returns here tonight. Jamie Borum is at his 15. High spiraling kick. The wee one. Logan. And there's a penalty flag on the return. I'll give you the details when we come back to BC Place. Buck Pierce back at it after this. For every sack in tonight's game, Purolator will donate the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, where business is going. Tonight, the BC Lions with 3 more sacks.
You see the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 15 sacks on the season. You might want to write Cameron Wake's name down here at the bottom. He's got 14. Creeping up on the Riders.
How do you get this?
I don't know. Hey, you must not know. I'm trying to tell you.
One-man gang.
Do something else.
How do you get this?
Do something else.
Look so far, you always get
So now the Lions Here's to Charles Roberts. Penalty flag. Roberts has 4 or 5 yards. Yet, you know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders only 15 sacks, and again, they don't have that rush end like Fred Perry this year. They've had some injuries. John Chick out, of course. However, the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, despite not having those sacks, still one of the most dominant in the game.
Yeah, and it says so much about what you can accomplish with just a good system as opposed to having dominant athletes.
Illegal chop block. BC number 59.
Look at the numbers. First.
That's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play.
A chop block here against Rob Murphy. Or no, that was Kelly Bates. Kelly Bates penalized for a chop block. Let's take a look.
Kelly Bates is the left guard on this play. You'll see he's getting that call for going at the legs of a player who's engaged with another offensive lineman. Jimmy Verdon had his hands on the center, Angus Reid. In that case, you're only allowed to block high.
Deep drop. Logan. Couple of cuts. Stephon Logan. Finally brought down. And if one doesn't get you, the other will. And as Wally Bono said, you know, you can't hit what you can't see sometimes. These guys are both dynamite when they get the football.
And that ability on a screenplay, as you see him slip out behind his wall of blockers, he gets hidden by those big offensive linemen sometimes. Gets very difficult for the guys trying to track him in coverage.
Cards alive with 25.
McCallum again. Johnson. Met by Jamal Johnson. 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Still a 2-point game. Only one major score. Michael Bishop will operate once again. Let's go down to Perry.
Rod, it's so much about right place, right time, and maybe this is it for Michael Bishop. Loves the team concept of the Riders, how they've been able to overcome the injuries. It wasn't in 2000. That's when he thought he was in the right place at the right time. He was the number 2 quarterback for the New England Patriots behind Drew Bledsoe. The number 4 man was Tom Brady. They still keep in contact. I asked Bishop, I said, what happened? He goes, I went to NFL Europe, came back with a hamstring problem. I'm not sure what really happened, but Tom's doing well. I think Michael likes it here in Riderville, too.
Yes, he does. One thing for sure, Michael Bishop will have better numbers this year than Tom Brady. Unfortunate for him. First game of the year. One of the great quarterbacks now. Tom Brady's story is an amazing one, but so are so many. You think about Buck Pierce. Buck Pierce, a third-string quarterback a couple of years ago. Michael Bishop, who had to face a lot of adversity as a backup and had to learn a lot on the go. And he learned from a great one in Damon Allen.
Well, that's so often the case. Players get frustrated at sitting sometimes when you come in as a former college star. When you look at many of the great quarterbacks in CFL history, their best years have come after they've had an opportunity to sit and watch for a few years.
Well, Otis Floyd may have jumped there, but was it procedure? Let's go down to Perry once again. Perry?
Hey, guys, just wanted to say that Michael Bishop, you can't blame him. He had other things on his mind when he woke this morning in Vancouver. He has family in Houston, 4 sisters there. I talked to him before the game. He said some roof damage to their houses, a tree in one of his sister's backyard, but he said everyone was okay, so he was worried about that first thing this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. As we found out over the last couple of weeks, hurricanes down south, some of the Louisiana players were really concerned. Former Rider quarterback Harry Joseph was from the Louisiana area. A lot of players from deep in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago it was Hurricane Gustav. And of course this week affecting Houston was Hurricane Ike.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 60. 5-yard penalty.
You know, penalties have really played into this tonight and have really hurt some of the drives for Michael Bishop and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. BC 65. Saskatchewan's been penalized 10 times.
This is uncharacteristic for Saskatchewan. His discipline has been a big part of their success through 11 games this season.
The wave rippling around BC Place. Bishop goes long here for Dressler. It's picked off by Barron Miles. Down the sideline, knocked out of bounds. And may have tried to bite a little too much that time.
This definitely qualifies as a forced throw from Michael Bishop. The pressure closing in. A situation where he should either just throw it out of bounds or take the sack. Bishop's trying to make something happen here. He forces this one up. Barron Miles playing center field on this play. Gets over the top to help out his fellow defensive backs. And on an overthrown ball, it's an easy INT for him.
Now it's up to the Saskatchewan defense to hold here. 11-9 the score, 2-point game. Instant field position thanks to the turnover. Pierce goes for the kill shot to Paris Jackson. Pierce got knocked down. Anton McKenzie hovering over him. Omar Morgan in on the coverage on Paris Jackson.
You're going to see Anton McKenzie come from behind the goalpost here, and he's coming straight up the gut on the blitz. He's got a free shot at Buck Pierce. Around the center, Stefan Logan unable to slip back to the inside to pick him up.
Well, here's a big play now for the Rough Rider defense. Limit the BC Lions to a field goal attempt. Pierce. Oh, what a hit! Brett Anderson is hammered and drops the football. Man. Lance Fraser supplies this. Wow. Fraser, 5 interceptions this season. That time with a huge lick on Brett Anderson. McCallum splits the uprights. And now a 5-point lead for BC. Well, next Sunday, TSN2 has live CFL coverage. The Edmonton Eskimos head to Montreal. Live coverage available on TSN2 beginning at 1 Eastern. The game will also be available live on TSN.ca and RDS. TSN2, by the way, now available nationally on Bell TV. So for more information, call your cable or satellite provider and get TSN2. Boy, good crowd here tonight. Under 4 minutes to go. This crowd is jacked up tonight because the Lions defense putting on a show here, just as they did last week in Hamilton, nullifying the Saskatchewan Roughrider offense so far. But the Rider offense has really gone away from one of its strengths.
Yeah, they have. Wes Cates so far in this game, just 7 touches all along the ground. Wes Cates is Saskatchewan's leading receiver, a guy who averages 3 or 4 catches a game. None so far tonight, just 7 carries as well. The average is about 15. They need to get him involved, and I would run the ball right at Cameron Wake.
There it is, a little swing screen. Cates has it. First down and more. Just like that. They had not gone to the swing screen all night. Now there was a little one-on-one there, and Cates made them pay.
Yeah, something that's been bread and butter for them. Keep an eye here on Cam Wake, the defensive end. He gets upfield in a hurry. They go screen. They take advantage of his rush. Let him come upfield and then throw the ball over his head. Make a big play as a result.
You kind of saw Bishop and Cates have a couple of words before that play, and little premonition. Now the quarterback draw. Michael Bishop picks up a little more than 4 yards. Looks like half the first down yardage. So Second down now and 5 yards to go for the Riders.
And Saskatchewan going to a part of their playbook we spent some time talking about last week with regard to Hamilton as they face this BC defense. Again, one of the ways that you can counter some pressure is using the screen and draw type plays. Prevents the defensive players. It gives them something else to think about as they rush upfield. They won't come quite as hard when they think they might have to double back.
Bishop. Oh, Wes Cates tried to haul one in with one hand, and so again some penetration into the BC side of the field, but Jamie Borum is going to have to kick it away, and they're going to once again have to play for field position here, as you saw Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator.
Michael Bishop looking for Wes Cates on the out route. Looked like he was going to be able to stick that one, but unable to pull it in with one hand.
Once again, twin returners back. Charles Roberts and Stefan Logan. The only thing you can do with those two back there is try to angle it out of bounds. And not a good kick at all from Jamie Borum. And it went out inside the 30-yard line. So the penalty flag comes down. Ball has to be kicked inside the 20-yard line. So good field position coming up here for the BC Lions, it looks like.
Well, this is a big missed opportunity for Saskatchewan, because the one thing they could have gotten out of that drive was a real shift in the field position. They could have pinned BC deep.
Saskatchewan number 30. Penalties decline. First down BC.
So they will take the ball where it landed. It was knocked out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
And thus the risk of trying to kick away from certain returners. Exactly the reason why this rule was put into place. Make it a little bit more challenging for teams to do that. Very costly in the field position game.
Four receivers to the right of Pierce. Little play action. Stefan Logan head down and net straight on. That Rider D, so good against the run, so good against the pass.
You heard Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and the boys talking at halftime about the difficulty that BC is having trying to get both these backs involved. And just the suggestion that maybe you don't want to try and force it. Maybe give it a few weeks and see how things develop with the involvement of Logan and Charles Roberts in the game. But at a time when your offense seems to finally be hitting its stride this season, that you may not want to make drastic changes like that to your game plan.
Here's the rush. Pierce steps out, has Jackson. Brock Pierce avoids the rush. Looked like he was going to take off for it and then found Paris Jackson. The first down for the BC Lions here in the third quarter with only 15 seconds to go.
Well, there's the Saskatchewan nose tackle, Scott Schultz. You saw he was already getting double teamed, and Rob Murphy, who was free on the play, came in and drilled him. That led to a little bit of chirping back and forth as they approached the line of scrimmage. There's a couple of Warriors going head to head.
Just watch the line play here in the trenches. These guys are bringing it here tonight. G. Simon hauls it in for another first down. Final play of the third quarter. The BC Lions lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders 14-9. We head to the fourth in Vancouver. Only one touchdown here tonight. Very close ball game. Look at the numbers. Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Just the kind of close battle we expected in this game. Two very good defensive football teams, and that's really dictated the flow thus far. BC getting a little bit of an edge. They're getting that pressure on Michael Bishop, and that's really what's preventing Saskatchewan from getting going offensively.
If you watch the game within a game, watch the trenches, watch the lines together. This is like almost like a playoff type atmosphere here tonight for those guys on the lines.
Well, it really is, and we've spent so much time talking about it from the point of view when Saskatchewan has the football, but there's a lot of intensity and a pretty good battle going on. Usually Rob Murphy in the middle of things for the BC Lions right now. Playing with a little bit of anger, which is kind of the way you want to see your offensive line play. A good level of aggression.
Brock Pierce Good protection again tonight. Just one sack so far for the Roughriders. Pierre's going deep. Caught! Touchdown! Paris Jackson with another circus grab.
The BC Lions start the fourth quarter looking to break this thing open. The first really big play of this football game. They've been testing this matchup all night. Paris Jackson on the short side of the field. He gets man coverage. Buck Pierce has thrown it deep to him a couple of times. It's the first time they've been able to connect. Paris Jackson taking advantage of his size against Omar Morgan, uses his body to shield the ball.
Don't touch.
6 catches, 126 yards after a week when Paris Jackson had none. And I know that touchdown was for his brand new daughter, Celine. Paris and his girlfriend, Susie. Named parents earlier this week. Congratulations to them. And a big touchdown. And Omar Morgan and Paris Jackson have been at it all night.
You're going to see Paris Jackson come from the far left of the formation. Offense in the Canadian Football League is all about isolating one defender. In this case, they isolate Omar Morgan one-on-one coverage on the weak side. Just a thin post route. Pushes deep, fights to the inside a little bit, gets inside position. Then as the ball hangs up, just uses his body to shield Omar Morgan from making a play on the ball. Great throw, perfectly thrown ball from Buck Pierce.
Well, now the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to have to do what they did in Winnipeg. And again, a team that has faced a lot of adversity this year, and through its 8 wins, 8 very different victories. Wally Buono's team trying to get its 6th win and close the gap between the Lions and the Riders.
What's up, Celine? I hope you're watching at home. I love you, little baby girl. I love you.
Well, Celine, Daddy just got you a touchdown. Now the Riders have to play comeback again. Weston Dressler around the edge. Pretty good field position. Now the Riders have to do something with it. Once again, some chirping on the sideline. Players right up in each other's faces. A week ago, the Riders came back from 17 down.
And Michael Bishop heated up in the second half. If you didn't know the Saskatchewan receivers before, you did by the end of that game. Weston Dressler, Ron Walker, Vincent Marshall, all in on the act. Luka Kanji, a big field goal to seal the deal. This is a team that just believes. I talked to Conrad Wasella, who's one of the newcomers, one of the guys who's been flown in with all the injuries over the course of the season. Played his first game for Saskatchewan last week, and the comment he made was, when we were down 17 in the fourth quarter, he said, I was looking around asking, are we actually losing this game? He said the attitude there is so positive, the level of belief and confidence is so great, they expect to win in any situation.
Big run there by Wes Cates, but again, as Ken Miller said and alluded to in his halftime interview with Perry Sigalski, saying they keep shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. They had pretty good field position, an unnecessary roughness call.
57 Saskatchewan's reporting as ineligible.
And that had put them back even further. So now the Roughriders have to drive. Luka Kanji, who was the hero last week, with a couple of late field goals, has done all the scoring for Saskatchewan. Riders have yet to find the end zone, but there's tons of time left. 12-point lead. Bishop running now for his life. Lets it go into traffic. And almost picked off again. And once again, the Roughriders were going to have to boot the football away. What a rush from the BC Lions.
And once again, Cameron Wake providing some of that pressure. They do a good job picking things up on the backside. but Waite comes free. And he's one of the few defensive linemen in the league who has the speed to track down Michael Bishop. Bishop on the rollout is as fast as any quarterback in the league, throws very well at full speed. But Cameron Wake has that great closing speed, keeps reeling him in. Bishop's had to throw it away a couple times in dangerous places.
Correction again, it's a second down, and now the big play from Bishop to former BC Lion Adam Nicholson. And there's a big play.
Adam Nicholson, a guy who was let go by the BC Lions because he had dropped the ball a little bit too often for their liking, comes up with a big catch against BC on this one. Nice swim move to get to the inside on his defender, Reggie Miles. Bishop looking there all the way. That's his primary receiver. Hits him right on time. Good protection by the Saskatchewan O-line.
First catch is a Rough Rider for Adam Nicholson. Look out. Lets it go. Oh, what a catch. Back to back. The former first-round pick for the Lions. We talked about those smallish receivers that Bishop has right now. Well, Nicholson is not one of them.
Well, Michael Bishop's going to face pressure. It's Reggie Miles bringing that secondary blitz from the backside. Big hit just as the ball is thrown. Adam Nicholson, collision off Otis Floyd, continues into his out route. Great effort to hold on to that football.
An impressive drive now for the Rough Riders, one of their best of the night. Cates, Wes Cates, look out! Brought down to the 5. Wes Cates thunders.
Oh, as Wes Cates gets more involved, we see the Saskatchewan offense picking up. Keep an eye here, though, on the middle linebacker, Javi Glatt. He doesn't like the way he was handled on this play and was pleading with the officials for a penalty. The guard, right guard, number 67, Mike Abumetric, grabs him from behind as he tries to fight back into the hole, but it goes undetected. Glatt was the Lion with the best opportunity to make a tackle on that play.
First and goal, Bishop. Touchdown, Adam Nicholson. Where's this guy been all night? 3 catches on this drive. His first 3 as a Rider and his first touchdown.
Adam Nicholson, the former first-round pick from the University of Ottawa, comes back to haunt his former team. Bishop gets to the outside again. Just a quick out. Defenders coached up to defend the middle first. Nicholson takes advantage of that by selling it with a quick inside move, pushing hard to the outside. And there is the fast but not hard throw from Michael Bishop.
Well, new heroes every day for the Riders. CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by CFL All-Star Voting. On now, go to futureshop.ca All-Star and vote for your favorite player today. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders bounced right back. And once again, a 5-point game. Thanks to Adam Nicholson. Ball dropped by Stephon Logan. Adam Nicholson, his first CFL touchdown, could not have come at a better time for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And Adam Nicholson, over the course of that drive with a couple big catches, earned the confidence of his quarterback, Michael Bishop. So it gets down to the goal line. He's the guy who gets the prime route, just a quick out. You saw him stem slightly to the inside on Corey Banks. Hits the goal line and bends it out. Just enough to break the plane. You see his numbers, 3 catches for 50 yards. A guy who was let go because he was having trouble catching the football while wearing black and orange.
Of Ottawa University, born in North Bay. Adam Nicholson, the former Lion. It's his ex-mate's pay. No catch. His first 3 CFL receptions, his first CFL touchdown. We hardly saw him in the first half.
And Adam Nicholson is a guy who had clearly lost his confidence in BC, struggled a little bit in training camp there. Inconsistency, catching the football. This could be the kind of game that really builds that and helps relaunch his career, so to speak. Just a matter of getting an opportunity here in Saskatchewan, where he was buried on the depth chart a little bit with the Lions.
Pierce hangs in, dropped. Yeah, what a time for Adam Nicholson. Did have one catch with BC this year, but his first 3 with the Roughriders. Could not have planned it any better here for the Riders in this fourth quarter. Can they do it again? A second straight week coming from behind.
BC number 82. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Well, it doesn't matter in that case because there's a penalty against the Lions, but as we talk about the ball being dropped, Rufus Skillern again had the ball thrown to him, had an opportunity to pull it in. He was unable to make the catch. Been a tough night for number 87 in orange.
Suddenly, Old Mo has turned again towards the Roughriders. Momentum.
Saskatchewan's been a fourth quarter team all year.
Dressler, one-on-one, shakes one tackle, and Weston Dressler brings it to the Saskatchewan 50. The Riders trail by 5 with 9.5 to go. Well, next Friday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, fresh off their big win last night, and now what is a huge game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, really must-win time. Wendy's Friday Night Football next week. Zeke Moreno makes his return to Iberwind. 21-16 BC, and down goes Michael Bishop. Brent Johnson, his 8th sack of the season.
Brent Johnson just flat out beats Gene Mikowski one-on-one around the horn. Ducks his shoulders to get underneath the hands of Mikowski here. A good rip move. Comes all the way around to get to Michael Bishop before he even has a chance to set up. Cameron Wake's trying hard to close the gap, but in the last few years, no player in the CFL has more sacks than Brent Johnson.
Passing down, Bishop hangs in over the middle. Good defensive play by Ryan Phillips. Michael Palmer was the intended target. He wanted a penalty interference call. No such luck.
Well, this was the kind of defensive response BC needed after that last touchdown drive. Michael Palmer is the intended receiver on this play. He's working against Ryan Phillips. He's going to push deep. Makes his break in. Phillips right there on the break with him and gets a hand in. Knocked the ball loose.
Stefan Logan. At his 19-yard line, the first game that the Lions utilized both of those little guys, Logan and Charlie Roberts. Nowhere to go. Logan wrapped up, brought down. Actually lost a couple yards there. Wally Buono was the active all-time winningest coach. Second on the list all-time behind Don Matthews, who is now active, but stuck at 231.
So I suspect that the competition between those two longtime friends may have come into Don Matthews' mind in deciding to make his comeback. Wally was getting a little too close for comfort.
You think so? Well, Toronto Argonauts are going to have to turn their game around. They're going to get a win for the Dawn next week. Did not look good last night. Charles Roberts, former Blue Bomber. Impressive debut, I'd say, tonight in orange.
Yeah, Roberts has been solid, if not spectacular. Again, it's going to take some time for everybody to settle into roles here in that BC Lion backfield. I'm sure the coaching staff will have a look after this game as well and decide which things worked that they're going to try and build on and which schemes, quite frankly, didn't, that they can throw out.
Just over 7 minutes to go. Pierce looking for Skillern again. Tough night for number 87. So now 2 and out here from the Lions, and the Riders are going to get some good field position.
Rufus Skillern had really started to come into his own, given more of an opportunity. 14 catches in his last 3 games for the BC Lions. Things just not going his way tonight, though.
James Johnson is back. McCallum. Oh, what a good kick. Great kick. Johnson back to his 30. Little stutter step. Dropped at the 34. That's where Michael Bishop will go back to work when we come back to BC. Here's our game story to date. This game far from over, though. Brought to you by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Well, Charles Roberts, relatively quiet overall, but broke that 10,000-yard milestone in the early going. Paris Jackson, a big game, catching the ball for BC. Weston Dressler, the save for Saskatchewan.
How about this guy, Wes Cates? Loses his lid, but picks up some more yards.
Well, no doubt we'll see Wes Cates continue to add to his yardage total in the last 6.5 minutes. Roughriders, as we said, have been a very good fourth quarter football team. Wes Cates has been a big part of their success. Look for him to be very involved in their offense down the stretch.
Just over 6 minutes in a 5-point game. And off again, Cates. Look out now, Wes Cates rumbles again for another big gain, another first down into BC territory.
A lot of people see Wes Cates at 215 pounds as a power back. But watch the quickness he shows in the open field on this one. Once he breaks the line of scrimmage, nice cut there. And on Dante Marsh in the open field, nice little jump cut to the outside to pick up a few extra yards. Here we see it again. One cut off the great block by Glenn January to wall off the backside. Left Dante Marsh grabbing at air.
Cates again. Tireless workhorse. Now it'll be a throwing down for Michael Bishop and the Riders. 120 yards for Wes Cates tonight. 13 carries, including 28-yarder that set up the earlier touchdown by Adam Nicholson.
Well, Wes Cates came into this game trailing only Avon Coburn in terms of yards from scrimmage. We've talked a lot over the course of the season about Coburn chasing that 1,000 yards rushing and receiving. Wes Cates has surpassed him here tonight and is now #1 in the league in that department.
Little draw play now. Doesn't work. Cates is stuffed. And it will be third down.
Cates was just one block away. He was trying to read the movement of his left tackle, Gene Mikowski. Keep an eye on number 60 on this play. Cates is going to take the handoff on the right, cuts back to the left. Mikowski is trying to get up to second level to block a linebacker or defensive back, but got hung up just a little bit too long on his initial push up field on Brent Johnson. And Cates having to wait for him allowed defenders to come up and make the play.
Now again, Jamie Borum going to try to angle it. Remember, last time he kicked was not a good one. A wobbler. Logan comes up and brought down at the 23-yard line. Stephon Logan. 4:39 to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, this is one of those moments for a young quarterback like Buck Pierce where he has a real opportunity to establish himself. This is an important drive in this football game, and how he runs this offense be a real key time in his development. BC needs to maintain possession and would certainly benefit, if not from putting points on the board, but at least by stringing a few first downs together to shift the field position in this ball game.
Logan in the backfield. Play action. But Pierce gets away. Pierce is loose. Pierce brought down. But very close, if not a first down. He might have it. And he was wrapped up. Got away, was able to escape. Like he might have been banged up. And he's going to come out of the ball game.
Pierce came up limping after that one. Great effort by Kenwana Jones as well on this play. He was one of the riders who got sucked down inside on the run fake. But he kept pursuing the play and was the one who eventually caught up to Pierce.
Maurice Lloyd had him dead in the backfield. Jones brought him down. Pierce is on the sideline and comes back in. Looked like he had walked away for a moment. Pierce back in. And throws deep, wide open for G-Roy Simon. Goodbye! Touchdown! G-Roy Simon makes some history tonight.
With that major, G-Roy Simon moves into a tie with 30-30. Jim Young for the all-time BC Lions lead in touchdown receptions. This is going to be a little bit of deja vu for the Saskatchewan defense. We saw it earlier with Paris Jackson, single receiver, working against Omar Morgan on the short side of the field. This time they get Paris Jackson out there on the thin post. Scott Gordon's a little late coming over to help out his corner over the top. The result, touchdown BC. Same play, different formation.
Well, you know why they call him Superman. G-Roy Simon does it again. Almost 150 yards receiving, 76 yards on that touchdown reception from Buck Pierce.
G-Roy Simon starts off as the middle receiver to the short side of the field. Working in tandem with Paris Jackson. They switch alignments. Jackson runs the out. Simon runs the deep go. Buck Pierce likes what he sees on the deep route. Delivers a strike for the touchdown.
Well, 3:10 to go. 28-16 the score. The Roughriders are going to have to answer again very quickly, and they're certainly capable of doing it. G-Roy Simon, Superman, joins Dirty 30. 65 touchdowns apiece. All-time Lion TD pass catchers. Jim Young was a great one. Most thrilling receivers in the Canadian Football League. And G-Roy Simon has accepted that mantle here in Lion land. Weston Dressler will get the football. To the 32-yard line, so that quick strike offense will have to go to work. Happy birthday, G-Roy Simon. Couple days removed.
We talked about the importance of that drive for the BC Lions. Getting some points on the board against this Saskatchewan team that has been so tough late in football games. BC, by contrast, has actually been outscored in the fourth quarter of games. Another sign that the Lions are on their way back.
Bishop for Michael Palmer. Has it! Palmer! What a catch! Michael Palmer dropped the football. And it looks like he got it back. Wow! Do not go anywhere. Oh, 3-minute warning on the field. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. 2:35 to go. Quick strike. Michael Bishop, one of the strongest arms the CFL has ever seen, right to Michael Palmer.
Well, Palmer, the only Saskatchewan receiver to dress for every game this year, goes up and gets this ball at his highest point. Benefited from the decision made by Baron Miles. 60-yard pass and run. Baron Miles, a ball hawk, played the ball instead of going for the big hit. He could have broken up that play.
To the end zone. There is a penalty flag, a couple flags in the end zone. Michael Bishop was hammered as he threw that ball away. Javi Glatt got to him. And let's see, looks like it could be an interference call where those flags flew. And it will be. And Saskatchewan will go first and goal.
BC number 24. The foul is in goal. And first down to the 1.
What a wild night it's been in the CFL. We might have another great finish.
Well, Corey Banks was the man who got called, and he was called for a grab on Weston Dressler, inside receiver number 7. Dressler pushes inside, tries to swim back to a corner route, and there you see Corey Banks grabs the jersey to try and prevent him from getting back to the outside. But the referee or the officials picked up on it.
A yard away, Sarka will block. Didn't need to. Bishop, however, did not get in. So it will be second and goal now. Michael Bishop, they had Zarka and Cates in the backfield. You might have thought Cates would have got the call, but Bishop took it himself. Just got tied up with all those big bodies underneath.
Well, you see how quickly Aaron Hunt, number 90, he was at the bottom of the pile, got into the legs of the Saskatchewan offensive line very quickly, so they were unable to drive at all, so there was no movement in front of Michael Bishop on that play.
The play clock is coming down to 5 seconds and 4 seconds now.
The replay official has requested that we review the play.
So Glenn Johnson, the call coming from upstairs to review if Michael Bishop indeed had crossed the goal line. Remember, it has to be the ball crossing the goal line. Just has to get a piece of that line.
Bishop had a pretty good lunge on second effort here. As you see, there was no initial push, but after that hit, Bishop makes a reach.
And the knee or anything isn't down there because the bodies, and that might have been the extra lunge. Again, Glenn Johnson under the hood.
Got to look down the line right here. Views obstructed a little bit by LeVar Glover.
Might give you a little better look. Maybe not. Again, it has to be definitive and conclusive. Maybe on this side now. There's the ball.
Watch for the lunge.
Those are all the looks we have on videotape.
A reminder that anytime, once a call is made, when it's being reviewed, for a call to be overturned, the evidence must be conclusive. And that certainly doesn't appear to be the case from what we've seen. So likely the call of no touchdown will stand.
And here comes the head referee. See if he found something that we did not in our replays.
After review, there's no evidence that he crossed the goal line with the football. The ruling on the field stands.
So the ruling stands. Second down and goal now. Time is becoming a factor. 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
But we've learned not to count out the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They've had some miracle victories here so far in 2008.
Have they ever? You said the word, believe. They never think they're out of it. And they aren't here should they put this and punch this into the end zone. Three backs. Bishop goes left. No! And now a huge third down play.
Jason Pottinger, backup linebacker from McMaster University. It's the one who comes up with the stop. He's in on this short yardage situation. Nice job to stay at home. Sees Bishop coming his way, shoots through the gap to make the tackle in the backfield. If you watch right at the left edge of your screen, you'll see number 11, Pottinger, come into the play.
Well, their biggest weapon is Wes Cates. They've got Zarka back there. He gets the call. He gets the touchdown.
Barely.
After twice carrying it himself, they give it to Cates. So now, a minute 46 to go. Let's take another look.
Get it to Cates deep in the backfield. Baron Miles forces him to go sideways once. Javi Glatt forces him to go sideways again, so Cates wasn't able to get his momentum. But he was clearly in. Got the ball over the goal line. And now just a reminder, the odds stacked against it. The Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I know what you're going to say.
7-0. When Wes Cates scores a touchdown, they should have just given him the ball in the first place.
Exactly.
Played the odds.
Well, again, they ate up 20 seconds on the clock. And once again, it looks like they're going to come back and review this. The ball did cross the plane. Just has to cross the plane. Doesn't matter if it's on the ground or in the air, as long as the player has it. They might be saying, was his knee down before it crossed the plane, but it looked from our other angle that this indeed was a touchdown.
Yeah, I think this one is gonna stand as is. The ball can cross the plane in the air. Even watch the timing. Ball is down really before any other part of Wes Cates' body, and we know it's across the line.
It is a touchdown. Ruling on the field stand.
Well, the crowd loved Glenn Johnson's earlier call, but not that one. But they were the right calls, and Wes Cates has his 11th touchdown of the season. Luka Kanji for the point after. Here we go again. There's a penalty flag. 5-point lead.
Third time's a charm. It ain't over yet. Let's go, D. Get us a stop. You know how we do, fourth quarter comebacks.
Yes, we do, Mr. Cates.
Offside, BC number 9. That's a 5-yard penalty. Will apply to the kickoff. Convert's good.
Let's take a look at this impressive drive. Really, it was all this play right here.
Michael Bishop airs it out to another former Argonaut, Michael Palmer. A 60-yard gain. They get another break here. Pass interference call against Corey Banks. Moves him into this short yardage situation. Couple stops from the BCD. But as Wes Cates said, third time's a charm. Number 20 punches it into the end zone.
Here is what's happened this season. The fourth quarter. Saskatchewan has owned their opposition in the fourth quarter. A lot of those have been come from behind victories. BC, on the other hand, the reverse is true.
Given that trend, the Lions have to be at least a little bit nervous right now. BC's got their hands team on the field, preparing for the possibility of a short kick here from Saskatchewan. That seems likely. Luca Conji is in for the kickoff. Jamie Borum usually handles these duties. They line up with that look. Get ready for some drama.
Here we go. Logan is back at his 30. Hands team on. The short kick. Penalty flag. It looks like it's offside. Harris Jackson comes down with the football. And the Roughriders may have been a little too quick on that short kick.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 47. Penalties declined.
Lions obviously take the football. Here's what happened here.
We'll see in the cluster, Maurice Lloyd, number 47, right at the front. First man to cross that line just before the ball is kicked.
Wouldn't have mattered because that wall was there and the kick was a little too deep. So now the Rider defense has to come up big. If another comeback is in the books for the defending Grey Cup champions. Charles Roberts. Stop for a loss. A minute 36 left.
Maybe a sign of things to come between those two tiny scatbacks for the BC Lions. Roberts was in the backfield on that play. Logan lined up as a slot back to the right side and came around on a reverse back the other way. Now in 2nd and long, we see Charles Roberts leaving the game.
It's been in these 2nd down conversions that Buck Pierce has been able to find his weapons, Harris Jackson and G. Simon.
Interesting to see in a lot of the passing situations tonight with two small backs. Both Logan and Roberts have left the game. Lyle Green, the fullback, has been the ace back in the backfield to handle blocking duties.
One of the biggest downs of the game for the Riders. They need to stop the ball. Pierce is dropped. Maurice Lloyd absolutely had him in the crosshairs.
Lloyd came in a hurry on this play. Pressure's coming all the way. Lloyd lines up just on the outside shoulder of the tackle, so there are two coming through that gap. Kidwana Jones gets picked up by the fullback Green. Lloyd loops it around, and it's just too far for the tackle, Rob Murphy, to get all the way to the outside on him.
Lloyd drops Pierce.
Let him go!
And the Riders are going to get the ball back. Dressler. Still on his feet, Weston Dressler to the 37-yard line. So can Michael Bishop.
17 seconds left. People at home, understand this. To be there, you gotta play 60 minutes.
And only a minute 17 to go. Can Michael Bishop do it again? The 2nd straight week, lead his team to victory.
Michael Bishop, 13-1 in his last 14 regular season starts. The last loss about 362 days ago in this stadium.
They do not have to go for broke here. They go over the middle. Once again, Adam Nicholson. Only a couple yards, though. Rob Bagg was open on the sideline. Bishop looked off of him.
It's just been so impressive. The ability to compete of this Saskatchewan football team. Not just compete, but win games. Given all the changes to personnel.
Here's the rush. And Bishop is sacked again. Aaron Hunt gets to the quarterback this time, his 2nd sack of the night.
The Lions are well set to bring the heat here because they know it's passing situations. They line up with 5 defensive linemen. Ricky Foley comes in at 1 tackle spot. Aaron Hunt lines up on the nose in a stand-up. as Bishop moves from his initial throwing spot. We saw this a little earlier in the game. The defender, Hunt, can see where Bishop is. The blocker, Abumetric, can't. He can't change the angle on which he's blocking.
Third down. This is it. Bishop fumbles the football. Cameron Wake got to him. The Lions take over and will win this game.
I said it before. I stand by the statement. The most dominant player in the Canadian Football League right now, number 91, Cameron Wake. The right tackle, Glenn January, is barely out of his stance before Wake is around him and in on Bishop.
So the Lions take over, 30 seconds to go.
I told him. They let us go. See what happened when they let us go.
Huge night for that Lion front four, especially Cam Wake. Defensive player of the week. It's all over Michael Bishop on that last play. Now time for the TSN turning point.
At a critical time in this football game, everybody knows the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the masters of the fourth quarter comeback. The BC Lions put a little distance between them and their arch rivals in green. Touchdown to G. Roy Simon puts this one away.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. Final seconds tick off here. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders will suffer their third loss. Cameron Wake and the BC Lions are suddenly a factor again in the West. 6-5 now for the Lions in the West. They win here tonight. 28-23. The Lions defense roars. Sports Center next.